Have you ever stopped to wonder what happens when the person making your life miserable isn't a stranger, but someone who is supposed to love you? What if it's the person who shares your last name, sits across from you at the dinner table, or calls themselves family? This is a painful reality that far too many people experience, yet almost no one talks about it. The truth is, some of the deepest emotional wounds don't come from enemies or outsiders. They come from the very people who were meant to protect, encourage, and love us. When the place that should feel safest becomes the source of your pain, it can leave scars that are difficult to heal. Sadly, most people never learn how to deal with toxic family members in a healthy way. They either fight back and carry the weight of guilt, or they stay silent until the pain slowly destroys their peace from within. But it doesn't have to stay that way. In the next few minutes, you'll discover 5 powerful ways to deal with toxic family members while protecting your peace, setting healthy boundaries, and staying true to the person you are. Number 1. Stop looking for validation from the people who keep withholding it. Imagine spending years painting a beautiful picture, only to keep showing it to someone who never even looks at it. Every time you hold it up, they find another flaw. They criticize the colors, question your effort, or simply pretend it doesn't matter. Eventually, you stop enjoying painting altogether, not because you lost your talent, but because you started believing your worth depended on one person's opinion. That is exactly what happens in many toxic families. Some people grow up believing that if they could just become more successful, more obedient, more helpful, or more understanding, then finally their family would appreciate them. They keep chasing approval like someone chasing the horizon. The harder they run, the farther it seems to move away. The painful truth is this: not everyone is willing to give the love or recognition you deserve, no matter how much you achieve. Some people are so consumed by their own pain, jealousy, pride, or unhealthy patterns that they simply cannot celebrate another person's growth. Instead of encouraging you, they compare you. Instead of congratulating you, they remind you of your mistakes. Instead of lifting you higher, they quietly make you feel smaller. If you build your confidence on their approval, your happiness will always be unstable. Real confidence begins the day you stop asking people to tell you who you are. Think about a tree growing in the middle of a forest. It does not stop growing because another tree refuses to admire it. It continues reaching toward the sunlight because growth is its nature. Your life should be the same. Celebrate your progress even when nobody claps. Be proud of your healing even if nobody notices. Keep becoming a better person even when the people closest to you refuse to acknowledge it. One of the most freeing moments in life is realizing that your value was never something another person had the power to give you. They could recognize it, ignore it, or even deny it, but none of those things change its existence. The next time you feel desperate for a family member's approval, pause and ask yourself one honest question. Am I living to become the person I respect, or am I living to impress someone who may never be satisfied? That single question can change the direction of your life. The people who truly care about you will appreciate your growth without making you beg for it. And those who refuse to see your worth are not the ones who get to define it. The moment you stop chasing validation is the moment you start discovering freedom. Your peace becomes stronger, your confidence becomes quieter, and your happiness no longer depends on whether someone else chooses to see your light. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself is believing in your own value before anyone else does. Number 2. Learn to separate love from obligation. Imagine carrying a backpack that gets heavier every year. At first, someone places a small stone inside. Then another. Then another. Before long, you're struggling to walk, yet everyone around you keeps saying, "Keep carrying it." They're your family. After a while, you stop asking whether the backpack is too heavy. You simply believe it's your responsibility to carry it forever. This is how many people experience toxic family relationships. From a young age, we're often taught that loving our family means always saying yes. It means sacrificing our peace, our time, our emotional health, and sometimes even our dreams. We begin to believe that if we ever say no, we're selfish. If we step back, we're ungrateful. If we choose ourselves, we're somehow betraying the people we love. But real love and unhealthy obligation are not the same thing. Love is something you give freely. Obligation is something you carry out of fear, guilt, or pressure. If every conversation leaves you feeling exhausted, if every favor is expected instead of appreciated, if you're constantly made to feel guilty for having your own life, then ask yourself honestly, Is this love, or have I confused love with obligation? Healthy relationships allow both people to breathe. They make room for honesty. They respect limits. They understand that everyone has seasons when they need rest, space, or time to focus on themselves. Toxic relationships, however, often demand constant access to you. They expect you to solve every problem, fix every conflict, and put everyone else's needs ahead of your own. The moment you hesitate, you're accused of changing or forgetting where you came from. Here's something important to remember. You can deeply love someone without being available to them every minute of every day. You can care about your family without carrying responsibilities that were never yours to begin with. You are allowed to say, "I can't do that." You are allowed to take a break. You are allowed to protect your energy without apologizing for it. Love should never require you to lose yourself. Think of an oxygen mask on an airplane. The instruction is always the same: put your own mask on first before helping someone else. Not because you're more important than everyone else, but because you cannot help anyone if you cannot breathe. Life works the same way. If you constantly ignore your own emotional needs to satisfy everyone else's expectations, eventually you'll have nothing left to give. You'll become emotionally drained, resentful, and disconnected from the person you once were. So today, give yourself permission to separate love from obligation. Love your family with kindness. Support them when you genuinely can. Pray for them if that's meaningful to you. But don't confuse endless sacrifice with love. The healthiest relationships are built on mutual respect, not endless guilt. And sometimes, the strongest act of love is refusing to lose yourself while trying to save everyone else. Number 3. Stop letting their words become your inner voice. Imagine a child standing in front of a mirror every morning. Instead of hearing, "You're capable," they hear, "You'll never be good enough." Instead of, "I'm proud of you," they hear, "Why can't you be more like someone else?" Day after day, year after year, those words don't just stay in the room, they move into the child's mind. Eventually, the family member doesn't even have to say those words anymore. The child grows into an adult who repeats them to themselves. This is one of the hidden effects of growing up around toxic family members. Long after the conversation ends, their voices continue living inside your head. You make one mistake, and you instantly think, "I always mess things up." You succeed at something, yet you whisper to yourself, "It probably wasn't that big of a deal." Someone compliments you, but you struggle to believe them because deep down, you've accepted a story about yourself that was never true. Here's something many people never realize: just because you heard something repeatedly doesn't make it true. Someone else's opinion is not your identity. A family member may have called you lazy when you were exhausted. They may have called you weak when you were overwhelmed. They may have called you difficult simply because you refused to accept unfair treatment. Those labels say more about their perspective than they do about your character. Imagine planting a healthy seed in poor soil. If it doesn't grow well, would you blame the seed? Of course not. You would look at the environment. People are much the same. Many of us have spent years blaming ourselves for struggles that were shaped by unhealthy environments. We questioned our worth instead of questioning the voices that convinced us we had none. But today, you can begin changing that story. When that negative voice appears, pause for a moment and ask yourself, is this truly my belief? Or is this something I learned from someone else's criticism? That simple question creates space between you and the lies you've carried for years. Then replace that voice with one rooted in truth. Instead of saying, "I'll never be enough," remind yourself, "I'm still growing." Instead of, "I always fail," say, "Every mistake is teaching me something." Instead of, "Nobody values me," say, "My worth isn't determined by another person's ability to recognize it." Healing often begins with changing the conversations you have with yourself. The voices around you may have shaped your past, but they do not have to decide your future. Every day you choose self-respect over self-criticism, you weaken the power those old words once had over you. Your family may have written the first chapter of your story, but they do not get to write the rest. From this day forward, let your own voice become the loudest one you hear, and let it be a voice that speaks with truth, compassion, and hope. Number 4. Protect your future more than you replay your past. Imagine driving a car while staring only into the rearview mirror. At first, you might stay on the road for a few seconds. But eventually, You'll drift into danger because your eyes are fixed on where you've been instead of where you're going. That is exactly what happens to many people who have been hurt by toxic family members. They replay the same conversations over and over. They think about what should have been said, what should have happened, or how life could have been different if their family had treated them with more love. Before they know it, years have passed, yet emotionally they're still living in yesterday. The past deserves to be acknowledged, but it should never become the place where you permanently live. Many people believe that constantly thinking about what happened will somehow change it. They replay every argument, every betrayal, every painful memory, hoping they'll finally find the answer that makes everything make sense. But some questions never receive satisfying answers. Some people will never explain why they treated you the way they did. Some wounds will never receive the apology they deserve. Some relationships will never become what you hoped they would be. And that's one of life's hardest realities to accept. The danger is not what happened to you years ago. The danger is allowing those moments to steal today's peace and tomorrow's possibilities. Think about a gardener preparing a beautiful garden. If he spends every day staring at last season's dead plants, he will never have time to plant new seeds. The old flowers cannot bloom again, but new ones can, if he chooses to care for them. Your life works the same way. Every day you invest in your healing, your friendships, your goals, your faith, your career, or your personal growth, you're planting seeds for a future that looks nothing like your past. You are not trapped unless you keep building your life around yesterday's pain. That doesn't mean pretending nothing happened. It means refusing to let painful memories become your permanent identity. You are more than what your family failed to give you. You are more than the criticism you received. You are more than the disappointments you've carried. Your future still has chapters that haven't been written. Protect them. Spend more time building your next season than mourning your last one. Ask yourself this simple question. Is what I'm doing today helping me create the life I want, or keeping me attached to the life that hurt me? That question can redirect your entire future. The people who hurt you may have influenced part of your story, but they don't have to determine its ending. Every sunrise is another opportunity to choose growth over resentment, purpose over regret, and hope over fear. Your past explains you, but it does not own you. The moment you start protecting your future more than replaying your past is the moment your healing begins to move forward with real strength. Number 5. Build the life you needed instead of waiting for someone else to build it. Imagine standing outside a locked house in the middle of a storm. You keep knocking, hoping someone inside will open the door. Minutes turn into hours. Hours turn into years. The rain keeps falling, the wind keeps blowing, and you're still standing there, waiting for someone else to give you the shelter you've always needed. Now imagine turning around and realizing you have everything you need to build your own home. That is the moment your life begins to change. Many people spend years waiting for their family to become what they always needed. They wait for the encouragement they never received. They wait for the affection that was missing. They wait for someone to finally say, "I'm proud of you," or "I should have treated you better." But while they're waiting, life keeps moving. Here's a truth that can feel painful at first but incredibly freeing once you accept it. You cannot always choose the family you were born into, but you can choose the kind of life you create from this moment forward. Your family may not have taught you peace, but you can learn it. They may not have shown you kindness, but you can practice it. They may not have made you feel safe, but you can build a life filled with people who do. Your past may explain your scars, but it does not decide your future. Think of a builder constructing a house. He doesn't spend every day complaining about the old building that collapsed. He gathers new materials, lays one brick at a time, and slowly creates something stronger than what existed before. Your healing happens the same way. One healthy friendship. One wise decision. One boundary. One act of self-respect. One peaceful day at a time. You don't need to rebuild your entire life overnight. You only need to take the next right step. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your growth instead of competing with it. Invest your time in habits that strengthen your mind instead of draining it. Speak to yourself with the kindness you once wished someone else had shown you. And remember this, a loving family is not defined only by blood. Sometimes the people who become your greatest support are the friends, mentors, neighbors, or community members who choose to stand beside you when others walked away. Never believe that because one chapter of your life was painful, the rest of your story has to be. You still have the power to create a home filled with peace, relationships built on respect, and a future shaped by hope instead of hurt. So today, stop waiting for someone else to build the life you've been dreaming about. Pick up the first brick. Lay the foundation. Keep going, even when progress feels slow. Because one day you'll look around and realize something incredible. The peace you spent years searching for in other people was something you were capable of building within yourself all along.